I met Steve probably my junior year in Nacogdoches. Steve pledged our fraternity, Tau Kappa Epsilon.
Golly, Steve and I met 50 years ago, just about 50 years ago, at SFA campus. He and I got to know each other during my sophomore year.
Steve and I met in the spring of 1979, so a little over 40 years ago. And we met through our fraternity, Tau Kappa Epsilon.
Steve and I were fraternity brothers back in the early 70s. We founded the Tau Kappa Epsilon fraternity on the campus in 1971. And of course, Steve was the Lumberjack mascot, and that made him kind of stand out as a special guy. And of course, since that time, we've known Steve and seen him at Nacogdoches many times, and he's been very instrumental in helping us. My wife and I both joined the Alumni Association years ago, and Steve got us to become life members.
We had the pleasure, can I do air quotes? We had the pleasure of rooming together fall semester of my senior year. And so got to know Steve pretty well at that time.
Hi Steve, Steph and I offer our heartiest congratulations on receiving the Lumberjack Pride Award. We can't recall a time in the last 50 years or 5 decades when we've come to SFA for a visit and you haven't been a part of it. Once again, congratulations, and you're a great emissary for SFA.
And I think the interesting thing for me was that Steve actually remained in Nacogdoches. All the rest of us graduated and moved to wherever we were going to move to. Steve actually stayed in Nacogdoches to make business happen for himself there. He married the love of his life, Catherine, and they raised their children there.
He has never stopped being a cheerleader for Stephen F. Austin for the past 40 years that I have known him. I cannot think of a person more deserving of the award than Steve Whitbeck.
Well, Steve is a guy that it seems like he never meets a stranger. He gets to know everybody, and he's very multifaceted in terms of what he's done and what he does. You know, his business has been very successful up there in Nacogdoches, and he follows all the sporting events in the school, the Lady Jacks and the Lumberjacks, and we see him at the Battle of the Piney Woods every year.
And in particular, you have been a really supporter of SFA athletics. In fact, we concluded that you're just about the biggest athletic supporter we know.
Everything I know about Steve, I can't talk to you about on camera. I will tell you though, it is absolutely not true that Steve was one of the early streakers back in the early 70s on the SFA campus. So just put that out of your mind. He was not one of them.
We planned a trip. There were 11 of us, alumni from Stephen F. Austin, who decided to go on a cruise to the Mediterranean. My wife and I were celebrating our 20th anniversary, so we looked forward to that, and we all spent about a year getting ready for the trip. And of course, we went to the Mediterranean. We flew into Athens, Greece, spent a few days there, and we had all the Greek food, the Greek music, the breaking of the plates, and then unfortunately they started pulling people from the audience, and Steve and I were pulled out and dressed as Greek dancers and proceeded to be taught how to dance like Greeks and say opa. Well, I think most college people have a special fond memories of their town and where they went to school, and great memories and great time in their life. And I always felt like Steve got to extend that a little bit by staying in Nacogdoches and staying close with not only the school but our fraternity and a lot of the people we knew up there.
Well, I just want to say that I appreciate Steve's friendship over these last several decades. I appreciate his support for the university and for our fraternity. I know that everyone is proud of Steve, who is so deserving of this award, but most especially his fraternity brothers.
And I know Steve has stayed there, you know, has always been a strong supporter of the school and the community. I know he's stayed there since he graduated, and so I think it's a wonderful honor for Steve.
Mr. Steve Whitbeck, please come forward and accept your award.